All right, Carey. So first of all, congratulations on a very beautiful movie and
Thank
love
you.
story. And it's incredible to see a female character during a time where empowerment didn't exist,
Yeah.
trying to find her equality and her independence. Talk to me about bringing that to life.
Yeah, that was what I was so excited about with this story. And I'd actually never read the book before, so I didn't know the extent to which that was the case in this film. And I love that Hardy was able to write such a forward-thinking modern woman 150 years ago who's so completely bucking the trend. And that she's really just acting against social convention and doing what she wants and getting what she wants from her life.
This love, it's a contained love. It's two people who know they love each other,
Yeah.
but don't discover it until the end.
Yeah.
How are you able to contain those emotions throughout the filming?
I think there's a lot between them that isn't said, and I think the way that that's been done in the film is largely due to Thomas and him allowing these characters to have time on screen where they don't actively talk, but they're still communicating. I think a lot of the time with film, especially when you have to adapt such an epic novel, it's really hard to compress it down and have any space for the characters to breathe on screen. And Thomas has allowed these scenes where they're in the same space, but they're not talking, but there's still a feeling between them. There's a scene in The Sheep Dip where they're sort of next to each other. They're not saying words, but they're sort of interacting. And I think it's a lot of that. It's a lot of letting the characters be in the same space, but without them having lots of conversations. Because when they do have conversations, more often than not, they end in disaster because he's the only person in her life who's able to be honest with her.
The cinematography, filming on location, must have been such an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was so excited because I'd seen The Hunt, which was Thomas Vinterberg's last film, which Charlotta, our DP, also shot. And so I knew what an incredible cinematographer she was. And being in Dorset was just such a gift, I think, to all of us, but particularly to the camera, because you were spoiled for choice of what you could shoot in that location.
He's such a gentleman filled with pride and who's so dedicated to his work, and yet he carries this incredible love. Talk to me about being able to contain those emotions, because he's a guy who doesn't express himself, but he expresses himself through his actions.
And that is because I think his love is a true love because it's selfless. He considers her. It's like, where is she in her life? What does she need right now? And if her heart needs to be on another journey, then why would I, try to take her away from that? If that's what she needs to do, then that's where she needs to go to. And that is selfless, and that is something very admirable because it's not weak. He's not stepping away because he can't deal with it. No, and in her journey, he will always be her most honest advisor, most loyal friend, which is rare because he never gives her an advice that might manipulate her into his direction. He's always on the path of righteousness, and that's because I think he sees things in a greater perspective.
I love seeing the interaction between you and Carey, and just the subtle eye movements, the touches. Talk to me about building that chemistry. She's such a brilliant actress. Talk to me about building that chemistry together.
Cool. I think that happened like within the first read-through. It's way before we started shooting. There's something very simple and open and generous that just clicked. There's nothing. Well, actually, it is. You could call it mysterious, but it happens or it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? It's when you feel good around someone or you don't. That's what it is. And when you feel good, you become generous, you become playful, and all of a sudden things flow and become very, very simple. And besides that, of course, you work really hard. But you can't fake a chemistry. You can't fake, But at least that's what I believe.
This is a story that centers around a woman trying to find independence and her personality in a world where that didn't exist at that time. Talk to me about seeing that story of empowerment as well, because female empowerment was dead. That period. It didn't exist.
No, exactly. And that's why Thomas Hardy was way ahead of his time. The way he depicted that woman was pretty unconventional and was not how women were portrayed or how women were perceived. And that's why I think this work of art is still timeless and is still relevant today. I mean, and that's why I think people can still relate to that character. And not only to that character, I think men and women can relate to Bathsheba, but also men and women can relate to all of the men. And that's what I think makes it into a great work of art.